hello, and welcome to episode 18 of Baki Taki. Thanks. I'm not just saying thanks, but I am because of all of you great listeners out there. But that's the name of the episode. There's been a lot of one-word episodes lately. But to help us deconstruct this very interesting episode, we have my friend, Diana.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Oh, thanks for coming on the show. It's been ages since we've caught up, so this is good to have you on the show.
Likewise.
So, Diana, I always ask people two questions before we get into the episode, just so the audience gets a chance to get to know you a bit better. So, first off, other than Baki, what shows are you currently watching?
I'm watching two shows. One of them is Bob's Burgers, excellent animated show on Disney Plus. And then another show I'm watching is White Collar. Actually, it's a rewatch, but it's very good.
And then the second question I always ask is, before watching this episode, what did you know about Baki?
I knew absolutely nothing except that you have this podcast and a bunch of my friends were on it. But yeah, it was my very first introduction to it.
Well, and what a jumping off point this was. A great episode, I'd say. Baki doesn't show up at all in this episode, so I think it's a great jumping in point. So yeah, let's jump in with how it starts. So just to set the scene, the last episode ended with Retsu throwing a knife into Doyle's eye. And that's how this episode starts. We replay that exact scene. And Diana, do you want to tell me how that scene sort of goes? How the barroom brawl begins?
Yeah, so we're introduced to a red hair man that I now know is named Doyle, that has a dagger in his eye. It's quite intense.
Mm-hmm.
There's some eye for an eye quote, very fitting.
An eye for an eye, huh? Is that it? I get it.
There's a crazy fight. It's a little bit graphic, and there's lots of knives being thrown around.
Yeah, like, at first I thought just a knife in the eye, that's probably enough. And then Retsu literally has what appears to be like a trench coat that he opens up, revealing rows upon rows of knives that he then throws into Doyle immediately after setting him on fire. Do you think this could be described as overkill?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. He's got like 24 knives all over his arms and shoulders. It's terrifying.
And I felt a lot of sympathy for Doyle. Like, if I had 10 knives sticking out of me and then a guy just kept throwing knives into me, and those knives went pretty deep, I feel pretty bad for the guy.
Yes, I did feel bad. I kind of just wanted him to kill him already.
Just throw them at the heart instead of just continuously throwing them into his legs and arms. Yeah.
And the narration is so intense. He just keeps saying, well, this is it then. I guess I'm gonna die. And I just wanted that to be true. Just end him already. This is torture.
Yeah, no. It's funny, like, Retsu's, like, clearly trying to take the high ground and be like, I don't kill people. But, like, he also throws 100 knives into the guy. Lights him on fire. What else did... I had to write down what he does. Because, like... Well, okay, so...
Rope at some point, and he, like, wrapped Doyle around in it. And then, yeah, it was a lot.
Well, and then he pulled out the scimitar from behind his back. That he just... Like,
yes.
And just for context, because it's not super clear from this episode, Retsu was shopping for a book when he ran into Doyle and they decided to fight each other. Like, he didn't have time to go home and get these weapons. He theoretically had them with him in chapters.
So what was the book conflict that led to this intense fight?
Great point. So Retsu was at the mall in the elevator. He had just bought a book. And then Doyle walked into the elevator, and they decided they had to fight. So they went to a bar.
I see.
Yes. For just to give further context, Doyle broke out of his maximum security prison after being electrocuted, but the electric chair didn't kill him, so he flew to Japan to taste defeat, and he has been fighting all of the best fighters of Japan so that he can taste defeat. And so when he ran into Retsu, they knew that it had to go down.
So are they both bad guys?
I would say no. Retsu is a great guy. They did describe him once as having villainous ways, but I think Retsu is a nice guy. You know, we see later in the episode that he's quite you know, he cares about other people. Doyle is definitely a bad guy. He you know, he kills a lot of people just for fun.
Oh, check it out. It's Robinson. Yeah, Rob Robinson, the kickboxer.
Yeah, so the fight continues on outside. We go from throwing knives to tying up Doyle, hitting him with a scimitar, and then then Retsu takes out a bunch of wooden. How would you describe his staff-like weapon that he had in his pants?
The big bat?
Yeah.
It must have been 8 feet long. I don't know how he was holding it up, but it was terrifying, and he points it right at Doyle's face.
Yeah. And then I almost feel like they got a different voice actor for the next line, but he just starts going like, wow, 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 like.
Here it comes.
It was so out of character. I've never heard him sound like that.
And then the blonde guy shows up.
Oh yeah. What? Just before that, I just had one line that I really wanted to highlight. Oh my god, Doyle. So Doyle's whole point was he came to Japan to taste defeat. Did you catch his great line where after getting stabbed and cut and walloped, he just goes,
It burns. I never knew how much it burns when you get cut. Is this what defeat tastes like? I can't say I like it.
I can't say I like it.
Interesting. I don't know if I caught that line, but it makes more sense now with the context.
Yeah. It's just like, what did you think it would feel like? Yeah. Anyway, then the blonde guy shows up. So, of course, this is Jack Hanma, a very buff, tall guy we met last episode, who is Baki's half-brother.
Oh, okay. So this is the closest that I get to Baki.
Yeah, this is as close as you get. What does Jack Hanma do?
He stabs Retsu with a needle.
Yep.
And takes him out.
Instantaneously.
Yeah, it was quite jarring. So Doyle can take up all this beating. Like, Doyle gets seriously beat up. He's bleeding. He's in a pool of blood. Retsu, one needle, and we're good.
Honestly, Doyle should just invest in needles. I think that is clearly the most effective weapon.
Right?
It's also just funny to imagine Jack Hanma sneaking up on Retsu, because nobody saw him stick that needle in. But then, like, you realize that he's like 7 feet tall.
They're all very tall and have very big feet and hands, is what I noticed.
Yes, almost everybody on this show is absolutely massive. Actually, you might enjoy this. So Jack used to be like my height. And then he realized he wasn't tall enough, so he broke all of the bones in his body so that they could grow back bigger, and now he's 8 inches taller than he used to be.
Wow. You broke all the bones in your body for just 8 inches?
Just 8 inches.
Just 8?
That's, you know what, with that spirit, yeah. You should you should show them. Just break all the bones in your body and grow 12 inches or something.
Right? I mean, 8 inches is a pretty low payoff for that kind of pain.
I can't. Oh my god, that is. I can't believe how demoralizing I would feel. Demoralized I would feel if I broke all the bones in my body and then somebody said, "Oh, you only grew 8 inches? All right, whatever." It would be like a modern miracle. But anyway. So Jack showed up because he wanted to, I shouldn't put context in. Why do you think Jack showed up?
Well, it seems to me that he had some kind of beef with Doyle. He wanted to make sure that he gets to fight Doyle himself, and he specifically said, no weapons when they do meet again. So I think, yeah, he didn't want Retsu to kill Doyle just yet.
Yeah, yeah, that's basically it. Jack wanted to fight Doyle. Would it surprise you that Jack will never meet or think about Doyle ever again?
That is quite surprising. He does give him a book back, so I thought there would be a callback to that, but very interesting.
Yeah,
He just moves on.
yeah. No, Jack just wanders off into that alleyway, and we'll never mention Doyle again.
Interesting. So he's what we call a shit disturber.
Yes, an instigator. Yeah.
Sorry, can I swear on this podcast?
No, I am gonna have to ask that we start from the beginning now because I don't edit this.
Oh no.
Hello and welcome to episode 18. Oh man, no, you can swear. It's fine.
Amazing.
If there are any kids watching out there, that I don't think kids watch Baki in the first place.
That's true.
If you're old enough to watch Baki, you can swear.
Yeah, I think they would be more traumatized by the show than by me saying the F word.
The kids go to their like kitchen, put all of the knives in their jacket. I'm like, Retsu.
Is this show R-rated?
Oh man, I don't know what it's rated.
I would hope so.
I think it's rated like X for extreme. I think it's the official rating. I'll have to
So
look
when
that up.
when did you get into this show? Were you a child?
No, the show came out in 2018.
Oh,
yeah.
that shows how little I know.
No, I got into it a few years ago. My brother had watched it and was trying to get me to watch it, and it was just I just threw it on one day on Netflix and got hooked. Yeah. Anywho, so Jack Hanma walks in, instantly incapacitates Retsu, and I mean instantly. Like Retsu was mid-punch, and he lost all momentum and instantly passed out.
I decide when we're done, not a scumbag like you!
Jack Hanma then wanders away, never to be seen again. And then Doyle decides, okay, well, I'm just going to go home. But what happens? Why can't Doyle go home, Diana?
Two random, very American-sounding guys
Look, we got no time for your jokes. We're trying to rob this guy over here.
come up to
Ray
Retsu.
Ray and his friend.
Yes, those people come up to Retsu and want to steal his wallet. They also make some racist remarks. Very interesting kind of 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's a real window into these two very unlikable guys.
Yeah, no, don't seem very bright either.
No. So yeah, they try and rob Retsu, and then Doyle in a showing of maybe a change of heart, decides that he's going to protect Retsu, and so walks over and then jolts one guy with his own taser, and then makes the other guy stab himself in the arm. I don't know what would be worse. I think I would feel really stupid if somebody punched me and it resulted in me stabbing myself in the arm. What would you have preferred? To get zapped by your own taser or stabbed with your own hand?
Maybe zapped. Gotta say zapped because I've always wondered also what that would feel like. Have you ever gotten electrocuted, Steve?
You know what? Briefly, I was at some sort of like science-y thing, and I was like taking apart a camera, and the camera battery zapped me.
Whoa.
So definitely less than the 20,000 volt taser, but it just sort of, my hand sort of felt numb for a second type of thing. I think the taser thing would be fun though, because then you get to go whoa, 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 like they do in the show.
Yep, you can definitely make those sounds. Hopefully your heart doesn't stop.
Yeah, pros and cons. So, but then once he gets rid of the criminals, that's not even enough, because it turns out Japan is a very dangerous place, and there are roving wild Shibas that Shiba Inus that might attack Retsu. So Doyle has to scare off the dog. Did you think that dog was like an actual threat to Retsu?
Probably not. Like, what would it have done? Eaten him alive?
That was something I was wondering. Like, I know that like he got knocked out, but do you think he wouldn't wake up if a small dog ate him alive. I don't know. I think he would have woke up.
He probably would have woken up. And the dog seemed extremely aggressive, but Doyle just kind of shoos him away and he runs away immediately.
It turns out the dog was also racist against the Chinese, unfortunately.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, Doyle intimidates him away. So this leads into one of the most, not inexplicable, but definitely surprising events for Doyle's character, who up until now has been shown as very selfish and very just like only cares about himself. Is he stands still all night over Retsu's sleeping body in a Japanese alleyway until morning, where he has entered a special type of coma that lets you keep standing up. And he's
bleeding profusely.
Bleeding profusely. The crows are perched on him like a scarecrow, licking up his blood. Were you surprised Doyle did this? Do you think it was the right thing to do?
Very surprised. I was also kind of taken aback by how is he protecting him if he's in this coma?
I honestly think the crows are sort of like a symbolism thing. Like, he's basically a scarecrow. He's a big scary man, but he can't move.
Oh.
So it's just the idea of Doyle being there that's protected him.
I see. Well, don't you think he would be attracting more attention standing there as like a 7-foot tall man, bleeding?
Just from my experience being in the city, when I see a 7-foot tall bleeding man towering over somebody, that does not draw my attention. That pushes my attention as far away as possible. I don't think I'd want to approach that.
Now put yourself in the mind of a Shiba Inu, however.
Okay, yes, I would.
Then you might want to know what's happening over there.
You're right. I think the more realistic thing is if he woke up and Doyle's left leg had been chewed off by a band of Shiba Inus.
But how did they become enemies to friends like so quickly?
I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that Retsu hit him a lot. Like, maybe he is suffering some some brain injuries.
Some Stockholm syndrome type of thing.
Yeah. Maybe if you, it's like a pressure point thing. Like, he hits the knives in the perfect spots, and he turned him into a friend. An ancient Chinese martial arts. And my headphones died. All right, technical difficulties over. Might be a little bit of an echo, but that's editor Steve's problem to fix. Yeah, so there is an echo, mostly because I'm an idiot, and instead of using my headphones, which ran out of battery, I figured, well, my speakers can't be that bad. So I've done some editing tricks. You probably won't notice because the echo is still there. So yeah, this one's on me, but enjoy the rest of the episode, folks. So we're coming up to probably my favorite part of the episode. Retsu realizes that Doyle has been watching over him all night and now has entered a coma due to lack of blood. Much like Kato a few episodes back with Greg. So he realizes that Doyle needs medical assistance. So what does he do?
Throws back, starts running across the city, and then encounters an interesting canal that he then has to run across. This part definitely took me by surprise. He did some quick maths about how many steps he needs to take across this river canal thing, and then he runs across it Jesus style.
Jesus never carried someone on his back. I'm just putting that out there.
That's true. So Retsu is Jesus and more.
A pulse. It's weak, but it's there. Not much time. I'm going to have to move fast if I want to save him. He's not going to die on my watch!
It was really incredible. Just, yeah, he runs across the water, and you might think you want to do as little steps as possible, but I think he is right to do as many. So he probably does like 10,000 steps very quickly as he crosses the 40-meter lake. I think was the distance.
Okay, think. The canal's about 40 feet wide. That means 700 to 800 steps. No problem.
Thing like that. Yeah, but I'm no physicist, so I don't know what his surface tension calculations were.
The thing that killed me was, like, in the shot before, he throws his rope and he jumps onto a road that's above him, and he must jump like 40 feet. So, like, and then when confronted with a lake, he decides, I can't jump this because that would look silly. I'm gonna run across it. Like, I don't know. He honestly just felt like Superman in this. Like, it felt like he had superpowers in this whole scene.
Absolutely, yes. And then the final step was how he breaks the concrete when he reaches the other side.
Yeah. Such force in his steps, yeah.
Disturbing the poor fishermen there.
Oh my god, their responses.
You're scaring the fish, dumbass. I'm all for fitness, but haven't these guys ever heard of going to the gym?
And you know what? Retsu was so polite the entire time. He kept saying sorry for everything he did, you know?
Sorry. Just passing through.
Yes, he did wish them a good day.
Yeah. He told the guy whose bike he broke, where he could reach him, and, like, you know, giving him his insurance info, basically.
Yeah, the bike scene was very intense too. He stops this bike with just one hand.
Yeah.
And then it ripples through, like, the G-force through the guy. It was very scary.
Yeah. I would be a bit shocked if I was driving home and a martial arts master broke my bike with his bare hand. But, you know, if he gave me his info and, like, contact info, like, I'm sure it would work out, so no big deal.
Sorry. My name is Retsu. You can get a hold of me at Karate Shinshinkai.
So now you might be thinking that Retsu ran across town to get to a hospital. That would be silly. Instead, he took Doyle to the Shinshinkai dojo, where he rounded up a bunch of martial artists who could donate their blood to Doyle. It might be because that was the closest spot. I think he just wanted to give him the highest quality blood of only martial artists. Did you have any thoughts on his recovery in the hospital, Diana? Or in the dojo, I mean.
Yeah, so the karate school has hospital-like rooms.
I guess.
It was very interesting. I mean, I'm glad they explained where they got the blood from. Do you think they mixed all the blood of all the different students?
Yeah, well, you know, probably of the same blood type or whatever. But, yeah, I think they probably mixed them all together and gave it to Retsu. I'm not a blood expert, but I'm not an expert in anything, really.
Except Baki, of course.
Oh, no, not at all. Anything in this show, I just take at face value and go, okay, yep, that's how it works. You can stop a motorcycle with your hand. You can run across water. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. The recovery room was interesting. It had all the details of a hospital room, like the curtain outside the door.
Yeah, did they have a doctor on staff who just works at the dojo? Probably. It's a really big karate studio. It's like 6 stories tall. It's like its own little community. They could have everything in there. So Doyle has actually a really nice sort of bonding scene with Retsu, where, like, Retsu makes him some herbal remedies. They sort of Doyle thanks him. Like, the smile on Retsu's face is so genuine.
I've brought you some traditional herbal food I've learned to prepare at Hakurenji Temple. It's known to have restorative powers.
You made all this yourself?
I'm hoping that you like it.
Actually, it's really good. It was pretty amazing how you ran on the water.
I thought you were out cold for all that.
How could I be out for the whole time, with you bouncing me around like that?
Did you notice any, like, chemistry or like between the two giant muscular men?
Absolutely. I felt some sexual tension. I don't know if it was wishful thinking, but he did say Doyle does admit that he was awake for part of the journey to the karate school, and he says something like, oh, how could I stay asleep when you were bouncing me around like that? So that was an interesting line.
Doyle has by far the highest frequency of lines like that. But also taken literally, I do understand how it'd be tough to sleep while a guy runs you across the lake.
It's very fair, but he did say it with a little smirk.
What a nice little couple they would be. So Doyle, of course, doesn't stay for long. Instead, he, I guess, goes upstairs because he stays in the building and goes to a lesson that Katsumi Orochi is teaching. Katsumi is Doppo's son. For listeners, he really hasn't done anything interesting. Usually, I'd say something interesting to say like, "Oh, he's this guy," but he hasn't done anything interesting. He's teaching a lesson on martial arts. Doyle crashes it, and instead of saying thanks to, I guess he does say thanks to everyone for giving him his blood, but he also says one other thing, that he's going to murder all of them.
First off, I wanted to thank you all for donating your blood for me. Well, there's no easy way to put this, so I'll just say it. The reason I came in here is to put you all 6 feet under. Sorry about that.
Were you surprised by that, Diana, or did you think, yeah, he probably came here to kill them?
Pretty surprised, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the episode is titled Thanks. I really felt that there was some character growth happening. So I was surprised when he's challenged them to a fight and said he's gonna put them 6 feet under.
Yeah, he's going to bury them, as Katsumi clarifies. So, Katsumi's not scared of Doyle, so they get ready for a karate fight. And then Doyle does the cheekiest move I've ever seen. Like, the smile on his face when he pulls this off just killed me. But he says, I'm going to need to change into my uniform. And just casually pulls out a flame-proof uniform. It's not a karate uniform. It's like it looks like a silver hazmat suit to avoid catching on fire.
What the hell? That's no karate uniform. That's a fireproof suit. Does he have a bomb? It's a trick! Jump him, class!
And then he sprays the entire room with dust, which we soon learn is pastry flour. If you didn't know what a dust explosion is, luckily we get a little lesson from the narrator. Did you find that helpful, learning what a dust explosion is?
I did find that helpful. I gotta say I didn't know how to set one off before, but I do now. So thankfully I have some extra pastry flour at home. But that's the one moment that this episode felt like a kid's show, I gotta say.
When
interrupting for a quick science lesson.
Oh, okay. I was like, which kids shows are you watching with where they blow up the martial arts studio? But yes, it did feel like something I'd see in like Popular Mechanics for Kids or something like that. Like,
did they ever teach you how to set off a dust explosion there?
In PMK, yeah, most episodes.
It's Popular Mechanics for Kids.
It was a very controversial show at the time, but we learned a lot. Anyway, you know who was on that show? Alicia Cuthbert was on that show, and then she went on to become Jack Bauer's daughter in 24.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Anyway, that's just my little PMK moment there. So that is the end of the episode, except for the little final scene. Doyle is walking away from the Shin Shinkai building after he blew a hole in the wall, actually right through the mural of Doppo Orochi fighting a tiger, the Tiger Slayer, of course. And who does he run into? Except Doppo Orochi, who is mad that he blew up his studio.
That was me on that building, you bastard.
What did you think of his face? Did you notice that there were a few scars on it?
I did notice. Like half of it looked normal, and then, or maybe I should say a third of it looked normal, and then the rest looked like it had been messed with, but we don't know how, or at least I don't.
Oh yeah, no. So a few episodes back, his face exploded off. The last time we saw him, I would say he had 0 skin on his face. So he's made quite a recovery.
Wow. And was it also Doyle who fucked up his face?
It was Dorian. He's a different guy who broke out of a supermax prison on death row to taste defeat in Japan.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah.
And so yeah, people seem to have issues with his face. They keep targeting it.
Yeah. Maybe it's like even before this, he had an eye patch. I assume that was also from somebody targeting his face. Yeah, maybe he just has one of those faces that only a mother could love, and everybody else wants to rip it to shreds, apparently. Anywho, so that was the episode. I'm actually really interested in what your answer to this question is, Diana. Now that you've watched an episode, do you think that Baki is a good show?
Personally, I would say no. There were too many plot holes, and I feel there was forced character growth that didn't make sense. And then just to go back on it in the first place, it made me sad that all the lovely karate boys were just blown up in the end. And I didn't understand why. They were only kind.
Yeah, well, that's kindness gets you put 6 feet under in Baki. I think they'll probably be okay though. It's only a pastry dough explosion. I'm sure we'll find out more next week.
I hope so. I hope they're fine.
Yeah. But I do think that is a very fair critique of Baki. I think that the motivations of characters and character growth often don't really lead into each other and just sort of spring out of nowhere. But to be honest, that's part of the charm for me.
More food scenes and less fighting scenes. I liked when Retsu brought out that tray of yummy food. It made me a little bit hungry.
There is a lot of food scenes I've noticed. Last episode, Jack Hanma ate an entire pig.
An entire pig?
Like a cooked pig, but yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know if that's as appetizing as I would want, but...
Oh, you should. It was much more appetizing than when he ate a T-bone steak and then ate the T-bone in like multiple chomps.
Oh boy!
That's how you grow 8 inches. You gotta eat bone to make new bone.
How would that go down?
Well, he's got very strong teeth. I think he just grinds it into dust, much like a giant would do to their bones they eat.
I guess I didn't think about the chewing part. I just thought he swallowed it whole.
No, that's ridiculous.
Right.
Anywho, Diana, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. This was a blast. Anything you wanted to say before I sign off?
Just thank you so much for having me. One of my first introductions to anime and Baki. Happy to be part of the Baki Talkie crew.
Awesome, yes, and it's like I always say, Baki is a perfect introduction to anime. Definitely not one of the weirdest ones out there. That's all the Baki we've got to talkie. See y'all next week.
Cheers.
生ぬるい夢よりも熱すぎる Song Friday